Hi, and welcome to the Deep Thoughts podcast with Diana. I'm Diana. I hope you're doing well. I am. And this is a short introduction to what the podcast is going to be about and why I'm choosing to make this podcast. And I think that today there's too little self-reflection and reflection in general about life and the big questions and the small questions for that matter. We tend to be in an awful hurry all the time and don't really stop up and think and talk to each other about the more deep things for us. And that's why I want to make this podcast, because I think it's important. So what it's going to be about, like the title suggests, is deep thoughts and deep conversations. So I'm gonna interview all kinds of different people. I want this to be relatable. So you might be, or the interviewee might be, it could be you actually. Might be a carpenter or someone famous or a homeless person. I don't know. It could be anyone. And I will ask question. First off, I would start by getting a bit of their story. So starting by asking a bit about them. So to give you an idea of the questions, I'll end the video by actually answering one of these questions myself. But to give you an idea, there's a couple of examples here. So it could be the question of what makes you happy. It can seem like a very easy question and it can be answered very easily, but also if you dive into the question and think a bit more about it, saying what makes you happy right now, that's maybe an ice cream because it's like really hot outside, or what makes you happy in the long run, what's important in the long run, what is it that will give you that satisfaction, then you can dive a bit deeper into the question. Another question could be, when do you forget to enjoy the journey? Because life is a journey, right? So when is it that you're most upset or most occupied so that you don't enjoy it? And the last question I'm gonna tell you about right now, there's like in the book there's 60 questions, but I have lots more. But the one I'm gonna tell you about right now, and the one I'm gonna answer for you in a bit, is what mark would you like to leave on the world? So say when you're not here anymore, what would you like to people to remember you by, and what would you like to leave for the world to see? So these are the kinds of questions I would like to have some deep conversations about and really get behind the mask of the people I'm interviewing. I really want it to be relatable so that you as a listener or viewer, I'm both putting it out on podcast, but also on YouTube. So you might be watching this on YouTube or you might be listening to it. By the way, not everything will be the same on the two platforms, so check it out. But between these episodes, maybe every fifth episode or something like that, I will do a deep dive into something that can help you be more reflecting or develop yourself more in the direction you would like to develop and you would like to be going. So whatever's right for you. So I want to help you. I want to inspire you to taking the next step towards whatever it is that you want to be. And I want to be, adding value to you. So I will be doing these deep dives where, for example, it could be one of the topics could be, how does food have an influence on your everyday life? And the most common ones, how does exercise and stuff like that, meditation, very talked about issues already, but I would like to get into them as well, and maybe inspired by some of the stories of the people I've already then interviewed. I was also thinking that finding an expert that could help me talk about the importance of breathing, just simply breathing, because of course we have to breathe, but there's a huge difference in how, and all these areas is not anything I know about like in depth. So this is also a learning process for me, but I would very much like to go through it with you, and hopefully we can do something together that could be interesting. So these deep dives, I'm hoping to be able to do that like every fifth episode. But we'll see how it goes, what makes sense and what doesn't. So yeah, the idea is to create space for self-reflection and self-development, and helping both myself and you guys take the next step towards what you would really like to do. In the end, I'm gonna tell you if you want to be a guest on the podcast, because as I mentioned, I'm looking for all sorts of people. Please do write me, but I'm going to tell you a bit more about that in the end. As I said, I would like to answer the questions about leaving a mark on the world that I've been thinking about. So I think everyone want to do something, be thought of in a positive way when they're not here anymore. And I've been given this question a lot of thought. And the thing is, I really like helping people and I like making others happy. So it's the thought of people who know me and love me and people I've helped and whatever being sad when I'm not here anymore kind of hurts my heart a little bit. I really don't want to do that. I know that it's a counterproductive thing, or I don't know if that's the right term, but I would like to leave people in a positive way. So leave them happy and leave them better off than they were before they met me or got to know me. And I know that's hard in life in general to do that to everybody, but that's kind of my mission, what I would like to do. So there's this Danish poet, and I'm not saying that I agree with him. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He committed suicide. So in that aspect, I absolutely do not agree with him. But he made this poem that goes very simple, something like, I don't want to die. I just want to be unborn. And I love the sentiment of this. It's kind of a sidetrack, but not at all anyways. But the thing about it is that if you die, you leave people like them. You of course leave them with whatever you did during your life, which is fine if you did good things, I guess. But you still leave them sad when you die. You leave them, especially if you die untimely and everything like that. But you kind of leave them with this sadness about missing and yeah, just you not being there anymore. But if you were never born, you wouldn't you wouldn't do that. So I kind of, in the sense that I really don't like saddening people, I like that poem. So yeah, in regards to what mark I want to leave, I definitely want to leave a mark. That's also why one of the reasons I'm doing this is to actually help people and leave a mark. So it doesn't even need to be me in particular that helps people, but helping people, if that makes sense. I would love to have that be my legacy, that I've helped a lot of people. As I said, it's one of the reasons I want to do this podcast. It's to be able to help other people and to be able to do something that can actually make a difference for someone else. But I think it's actually really hard in the thought of people being sad because of me is so heartbreaking for me that I think it's really, really hard. But I have to comfort myself by actually thinking, okay, so I'm helping people by whenever they get when they get over the initial sadness, hopefully they will see that I've done something good. I've done something that helped them move forward, helped them take the next step, maybe in a direction where they became better people or they became happier with themselves. I'm not sure if it's a high bar set, but that's what I'm going for. So hopefully I'm going to be able to help you. So that was one way of answering one of these questions. It can be whatever you want it to be. So the idea is to actually have these questions and you can always, just if you're just listening or watching the videos, write the questions down and ponder them yourselves and think about what would your answer be to these questions, and feel free to write me with your questions, or not, well, that as well, but write me with your answers to the questions that we have up in the podcast, because it's really interesting. And that's also what I want to show. It's interesting to see how many different kinds of responses can come from for one question, but it's also interesting to see that a lot of people feel alone, but really they're not. So I want to make this also relatable in a way that people can see that, okay, so I'm not the only one feeling like this in the relation to this question, which I think is a strong positive thing to share. So I think I promised this would be a short short introduction, so I'm gonna make it that. To If you would like to try and be a guest on the podcast, please email me. I'm gonna write the email up here so that you can see in the video, and then in the podcast, I'm gonna write it in the show notes. I know it's a bit difficult, but I'm so early on now that I still haven't set up the email, but it will come, and I will mention it next time I'm online and have it set up. But it would be great if you would like to participate. And if you have any ideas and feedback, I'm very, very happy to listen to you and see what you're thinking. And then all that's left to say is have a really, really great day, and see you soon.